Hey there guys, welcome to today's video. Today's video is all about 5 foods that you should avoid while intermittent fasting. Now this is the reason for this is just to accelerate your fat loss. So these are foods that, even though you're doing intermittent fasting, which is obviously a great tool to accelerate your fat loss, by eating these foods you are going to be sort of they're going to be working against you basically. These are just things that don't really combine that well with intermittent fasting, and by sort of removing the large amount of these different foods, you will, accelerate your fat loss, quite a large amount. You'll see for yourself if you do choose to remove these foods, or at least lower the amount. So let's get into it. Number 1 is sweeteners. So anything with sweeteners in. Now this is one that loads of people make a mistake with on intermittent fasting. Now the issue with sweeteners is, although they sweetened drinks often are practically 0 calories, the same as sort of coffee or tea, which you can drink, 1 or 2 calories is not enough to spike insulin, to cause an insulin response. So the issue with sweeteners is, there's been studies where even just sort of the sensation, the taste of, sugar, of sweetness in your mouth, that can be enough alone to cause an insulin response. Your tongue tastes that sort of, similar to sugar from the sweetness, that sweet taste, and that, can cause your body to prepare, for incoming sugar, and that can cause insulin to be released, and when insulin is released, that's when the fast's over. So having sweetened drinks, even though they may be 0 calorie, 1 calorie, whatever, that can completely undo your fast. I made this mistake when I first started. And most, I'd say a huge percentage of people that do intermittent fasting are using sweeteners, and this is damaging their results a huge amount. There's plenty of people searching, why am I not losing weight on intermittent fasting? Well, probably because you're drinking sweetened drinks. Now, I do understand why they do, because firstly, there are a lot of people that say you can drink sweetened drinks, so bad advice. And I don't really blame people for making this mistake, because they look at the calories, they see it's 0 calorie or whatever, and they think that it's okay. But as I said, it will cause insulin to spike, and it's not worth risking that, because that's going to really slow down your weight loss. So try and avoid things like those 0 calorie monsters. Another thing to avoid is flavoured water, like sparkling water. They have a lot of sweeteners as well. There are certain brands which don't have sweetness. They've just got a slight hint of the fruit sort of taste. They'll be fine. But again, no sweetness. Really try and avoid sweeteners if you want to accelerate your fat loss, because it will slow you down 100%. Now on to number 2 is refined carbs. So you probably know already that refined carbs are bad for you. When you eat bread, white bread specifically, but all types of bread as well, even brown bread will cause an insulin spike, a significant insulin spike. Any kind of bread, white rice, pasta, those kinds of foods, they're so refined, processed, that they will often cause your blood sugar to increase more than actually eating pure sugar. It's terrible for you. White rice and white bread are particularly bad. So try and avoid those. I mean, they're what I'd recommend if you're trying to gain weight. Perhaps if you're trying to put on a bit of muscle or something, you could eat some white rice and things like that, just because it's very easy to gain weight with those foods. So try and avoid, all those kind of refined carbs, because they're just going to skyrocket your insulin. And if you eat just before you start your fast, say you can eat until 8 p.m. Well, if you eat loads of refined carbs at 7:55, for example, well, your fast isn't really going to be starting at 8 p.m. because there's still going to be insulin, huge levels of insulin in your blood for a good amount of time. It's just going to take a while for that to go down. So your fasting's not even really starting at that time exactly. Now it doesn't need to be on you don't need to stop hours before you're eating things, but eating something so refined, something that's just going to cause a huge insulin spike, that's really going to affect you, with your fasting, especially if you're only doing a 16-hour fast. This is really going to, it'll drop your results, 20% or so, I should imagine. So avoid those refined carbs. Now, number 3 is fruit. Now, fruits are quite unique in a way because it has a certain special type of sugar, which is fructose. So fructose, it acts differently to other kinds of sugar. And what it does is fructose will be stored first in the liver. And there's a certain amount of calories that can be stored there worth of sugar. I'm not sure exactly the amount, but it's a very small amount. So after that, it's immediately stored as fat. Yeah, it goes immediately into storage. Or other kinds of sugar, for example, if your muscles were depleted of glycogen, they would go to sort of refilling your muscles basically, so you could train better and things. Now, when we're talking about breaking a fast, fruit should only be eaten first thing in the morning. So if you want to get all your fruits, I'm not saying they're not healthy or anything like that. It's very healthy to eat fruits and things with lots of vitamins and nutrients, fibre. But make sure you eat your fruit as your first meal, and that way, after the fast, when your liver is depleted of its stores of sugar, that fructose will go straight there instead of being stored straight away as fat. So it's just the most beneficial time to eat fruit. Once you've started eating, excuse me, your liver will already be, it already have replenished its energy stores. So when you eat fruit after that, it will be immediately stored as fat. Now, yes, the most important thing is, overall calories in, calories out. But if you can avoid, your food being stored as fat, then it's, it's the best choice really. Because when it's, either stored around in the liver as an energy store or in your muscles, then it's more available, to be used. It will be burnt off first, is basically what I'm saying. So, same as if you did exercise and you've just eaten, all your muscles will have, full energy. They'll have, plenty of glycogen there. And as you do a lot of, heavy weightlifting and things, you'll feel sort of more drained, and that will be used up then. And then, when you next eat, that's what will be replenished first. And then once you eat, in excess, then it will go in, to be stored as fat. So, if you're going to eat your fruits, eat them in the morning. It's the best time. Plus, it's not too heavy. It's great to break a fast. So, eat your fruits as your first meal. Next one is, this is an important one, fat-free products. So, we're mostly talking about yogurts, milk, sometimes cheese, that kind of thing. There's loads of these that are fat-free. This comes from the time when, fat was demonised. It was very bad for you to eat fat. Fat makes you fat. No, it don't. In fact, a diet that's a little bit higher in fat is probably, it'll cause you to be slimmer overall. Fat is, incredibly important, especially for sort of for your hormones and things like that, and for, not feeling so much hunger. It's very important that you eat fat. Obviously, healthy fats, preferably. But what these fat-free products do is, instead of the yogurt or the milk or whatever having its normal amount of fat in there, specifically in the case of yogurts, what they do is they've removed the fat, great, yeah, and they put in a load of sugar. So they still taste good because they've got tons and tons of sugar in it. So it's way better to get the, the regular sort of fat, products that don't have sugar. Because the sugar is the the problem really. So just take that into account when you're shopping. Avoid those fat-free products because the fat's what's going to keep you full for longer. The calorie difference isn't much. The sugar is just going to harm you. It's going to harm your weight loss. It's going to insulin through the roof. So it's better to get products with more fat and less sugar if you can. So number 5 is alcohol. Now, alcohol, again, similar to what I said with fruits, alcohol is a little bit different, the calories from alcohol. in comparison to, you know, fat, protein and carbs. When you consume alcohol, alcohol needs to be burnt off first. Yeah. So if you've got alcohol in your system, your body will focus on burning all of those calories of alcohol before it even touches any fat or any sugar stores. Okay. So you won't burn any other calories until the alcohol is out of your system. That's because alcohol is treated basically as a poison to the body, and it will focus on clearing that out first. So all of those calories that you've consumed from alcohol will need to be burnt first before you can start, you know, focusing on your regular calories from food and drinks and stuff. So if you're going out, for example, binge drinking, sorry, and you know you consume thousands of calories of alcohol, well, for practically a whole day your body is going to be burning off those alcohol calories, and there's going to be zero fat loss whatsoever. Just because that, it depends, you know, how many calories you consume and things, but it's just basically slowing down any potential fat loss whatsoever. Another point about alcohol is every drink of alcohol causes your testosterone levels to drop quite significantly. So the more you drink, the lower your testosterone is going to be, which is bad for losing weight. It's bad for building muscle, and it's, you know, it's just bad for your health really. So avoid alcohol at all costs, especially if you are dieting. Now, I'm not saying one drink here and there is not going to, you know, destroy your diet or anything, especially if it's within your calorie amounts. But you know, my suggestion is avoid alcohol where possible. So those are the 5 things to avoid, guys. Thanks for watching. Give the video a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.